Um, it is time to talk about Superman, and let's get into it. It's Superman talk. There's gonna be non-spoilers for this one, so don't worry if you haven't seen it. Let's get into it. So first of all, the Superman is soaring to an estimated 22.5 million in previews ahead of what looks to be an epic weekend. Superman's off to a terrific start at the domestic box office as early projections point to a massive 21 million start the best Thursday preview figure so far in 2025. You can find out more details. Josh Wilding says Superman excuse me, exceeded expectations, earning an awesome 22.5 million, beating the Batman 21.6 and setting the stage for 130 million opening weekend. That's what I said. I said 135. We're still a few hours away from confirmed figures coming in, but all signs are pointing to Superman being a super hit in North American theaters this weekend. According to early estimates from Deadline, the DC Studios reboot is eyeing a 20 million start with preview screenings, including 2.8 million earned by the movie Tuesday's Amazon Prime screening members. And Superman is breaking records. Not only has it landed the best start for a James Gunn movie, the previous was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is 17.5 in 2023, but it's the best previews figure of 2025 so far, topping Lilo and Stitch. That's bigger news than Captain America. Lilo and Stitch is 14.5. Captain America is 12. The sky is the limit for Superman, and despite conservative opening weekend estimates of 115 million to 130, the trade says it looks to be leaving all those projections in the dust. Okay. For those eager to compare Superman to the DCEU, it has already surpassed the 9 million made by Man of Steel in 2013. It was a different era for previews as it began at 10 p.m. at the time. I remember that, compared to Superman's 2 p.m. start. The Batman did 21.6 million in previews in 2022, but Superman should beat it. According to the Wall Street Journal, Warner Brothers executives want Superman to make at least 500 million worldwide. If it hits that figure, they'll consider the movie a hit. However, just as importantly, Warner needs audiences to love what they see and be eager for more, because the movie is the launch pad for the new DC cinematic universe. Superman also touches down in China this weekend. That's going to be that's a real big as far as that's going to right there. That China number is going to be the next conversation with you and I of you still believe it's going to hit $1 billion, right?
No.
Oh, you don't?
But I don't. Having seen the movie, and I enjoyed the movie a lot. I really, really liked it. I think there's enough going on that this movie will clear probably 850. Yeah. It might right around 9, but I don't know if it'll make it all the way to $1 billion at this point. I think there's just enough that's like of not, I wouldn't call them complaints, but like concerns where like people being like, wow, there's a lot of characters in here, or wow, there was not as much, time spent with said characters or ideas, that I think that will hamstring it just a little bit. Because I started looking at what movies since COVID have hit $1 billion. Yeah. And it either, like, first of all, now that I think about it, I think all of them were IP, so it obviously has that in its corner. One of the largest IPs that are out there, or it was banking off of some major nostalgia factor. It had to be good, obviously, but like Top Gun, Spider-Man, but you were doing decades of stuff off of that. Barbie, just a massive IP as well. Again, Superman is, so that's fine. Avatar, it's Avatar. I don't know why the Jurassic movies keep doing it, but sure. And then what? We'll give it to Minecraft because they were at like 975, 980 or something.
Close, like that. I think Lilo is closer than Minecraft.
Okay. And then Lilo also was very close. So I it will get close, and I would not be surprised if it does it. But I am going to amend mine to say somewhere between 850 and 9.
Yeah, that's where I was landing at originally. I'm still curious where it's going to land as far as internationally. I still don't think it's going to hit $1 billion. I think that it's going to get in that 800 to 900 range. Maybe. Yeah, if it hits 850, that'll be nice for them.
You got it. Obviously, it's the 4-quadrant thing, but like, you have to either be able to rope people with kids, and that's what the point of crypto is for sure. Totally. I enjoyed crypto as an adult, but that will fully sell it for kids.
The marketing is for. Look, I have had so many people, and a good friend of mine that I went to school with reached out to me to say, "Hey, is this okay for my 6 or 7-year-old to go see?" Because they're aiming that at the kids for. And it's like there's not really too much dark stuff in it, minus him bleeding in the beginning of it. And there's you know, there's not a lot in there that is too dark that kids can't see it. So they are aiming it towards families also, and I think that's why it's also going to do very well. Because this is one of those movies that is so, like, I'm telling you, whether it's a spoiler review, out of the theater, non-spoiler, this has happened on every one of my videos.
Blows up.
No. The first comment, this movie was terrible. I hated it. The next comment, this is one of the best movies I've seen all year. The next comment, I didn't like what James Gunn here did this. The next comment, that I couldn't believe how much fun I had with this one. It was so, it's like there were just, and two different opinions. And I will tell you that this, because I know you were in the chat yesterday, and we were talking about Dan Murrell stuff, and I brought up Dan because I think all of Dan's points in this movie are valid. I think that the difference is not problem, but the difference is I had fun. Well, and I talked to I pretty much broke down on my spoiler review all of the stuff that I had issues with, right? But the question is the stuff that you have issues with enough to take away your enjoyment of the film? And if it is, then you didn't like the film. You can still have all those criticisms, but you're like, no, I walked out with a smile on my face, and I felt like I was watching an animated television show. That's how I felt. The character development is not there. It needs to be. There are some times when the humor steps on some of the emotional moments, but there's sometimes that it just was set up so right with all the characters in the beginning, it didn't bother me. Crypto, who I thought was going to bother me, didn't bother me. No. He was set up. I will say that, I mean, people know at this point that Supergirl's, going to be a part of the universe. Everybody knows that already with Millie Alcock. I'm concerned about that. I didn't like what they did with her at all. All right, summer. It is here. More sun, more light, more time to do all the things that make summer so special. Number one thing you don't want to do all summer, you don't want to spend hours cooking inside. Trust me, it's hot. That's where Factor comes in. Factor chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle over summer and beyond. Factor powers your day sun up to sundown with nutritious breakfast, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. Factor has your whole day covered. Enjoy more this summer and get Factor if you want all the flavors and none of the fuss. Absolutely love Factor. You guys know I've been talking about Factor forever because it is so good, and they give you the options that you need. If you have a particular diet that you're on, that for me is like, I'm all about the protein right now, guys. And boy, did they have just delicious stuff. I love coming back from, if it's a day at work, if it's something that I need to do if I'm coming back from the gym, Factor has me covered. So get started at factormeals.com/Christian50off. Use that code Christian50off to get 50% off free shipping on your first box. That's code Christian50off at factormeals.com/Christian50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Factormeals.com/Christian50off.
That's a version of the character that has definitely been seen before. So I'm not as pressed about that because a lot of times
of it though is like,
but I don't think it will be. I think what it'll end up being is similar to what Star-Lord is at the beginning of like Guardians 3 or any Guardians movie where he is an asshole. So she'll be a prick, and then she will get a very valuable lesson that makes her mature.
Okay.
Like that is, I think the arc they're going to go with, which we've seen with Kara before. So
we'll get. I mean, we're gonna talk about the potential of her, the tone and stuff that James Gunn has made it pretty clear that the tones are going to be different in these movies. So we'll discuss that in a little bit. But as you I think you and I kind of have similar opinions on the movie, right? So it's a little bloated for sure.
It is.
There's a lot going on in the movie, but like, I still think that there are times, even when they introduce all the other characters and the way that they did it, I'm like, okay, I like seeing them. Like, you could have probably focused a little bit more on Clark and Lois here, and I don't think anybody would have complained if you did. But I like seeing this team. I like seeing these characters, and I keep laughing about it. And especially my spoiler, I kept calling Mr. Terrific Mr. Fantastic in the non-spoiler like 1,000 times. I thought Mr. Terrific was one of the standouts.
Summer, man. It's a bloated summer.
I know. He was one of the standouts, and so was Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen was excellent.
Yep,
absolutely excellent. So, what are your overall thoughts of this movie, non-spoiler, Winston?
Yeah, I mean, to further unraveling, you guys can check out my non-spoiler. But the main thing that I would take away from this is I think that It's funny. I think at the time when Man of Steel came out, that was the tone of movie that the world was ready to accept at that particular moment. I think at a moment right now where it feels like a lot of the world feels very up in the air, a lot of people are very upset of stuff that's going on. I thought that the tone of this and the flow of this is kind of what we needed, and especially the main conversation throughout the movie is 1,000% keeping your moral compass, keeping your humanity, and taking away the important parts of a message, instead of maybe what the message is, trying to get at the core of like what do you take from a message. And I think that that really showed up here exceptionally well, and that the whole time I was there, I was in here being like, yeah, okay, bet. Especially Lois and Clark arguing with each other early on in the interview. Oh, that was a to me the kind of masterclass. I was like, I want more of this. What is this? Give me a lot more of that. Which is funny because it's a superhero movie, but I think that that was really important to have, including making Lois herself her own character. I think the one flaw that I had with Amy Adams is not her as an actress. I think it was the way Zach was writing Lois. It felt more, I am all about Clark. I'm really just here as Clark's he'll lose his mind if I'm not here. Like he'll become evil. Versus Lois had stuff to do in this movie and did it.
She did. I think that there's like a positive and a negative with starting the movie. The fact that they, that they're together already, right? The positive is they don't have to set up all that stuff again in the same way that Superman, the way that they set it up and say Superman has been here already. This is what's going on with Superman. Here you go. There are metahumans that already live in this universe. Go, right? That's a positive, but the negative that comes with that is that you don't really give a big setup enough to really dive into getting there. You know what I mean? Like with the two of them, because they have good chemistry. They have really good chemistry, Brosnahan and Corin Sweat. But you are asked because he's basically saying, that Lois and Superman, you know them well enough. You just know that they've been through things before. And here you go. And it's like, I would have liked, there's more stuff sometimes that a little bit, it goes so summer blockbustery at times. I'm like, oh, that emotional stuff that you had in Guardians 3 really isn't there. Or could have gotten there.
We were starting to get there at definitely at moments. You know what it is? It's funny. It wasn't as egregious, but you remember that video that I sent you of like how Marvel movies be? And I was like, this is you where it's like super serious moment. Like this is not a spoiler for Superman, but this video that I sent Kristian, they'll be like, you're watching a Marvel movie, and they'll be like, oh my God, he's dead. And he's like, hey, he owed me $5. And then like Kristian would be like, what the and someone in the audience, I have a friend that like there were moments that happened, and I agree with you. Those jokes kind of fell flat, but like the one in the preview about like or in the trailer about like, oh, I'm doing important stuff. It actually fit in that particular moment.
It did. Well, because with that particular moment, what they did with Superman is they set it up from the beginning with how he is, and it fit. That was my concern, and they answered it. Was that does it fit his personality throughout the entire movie? And it did. It did for what he was trying to do. And I love that version of him where it's just like he just wants to do right by people. He's just trying to do good. And I loved that about him in this. And I love the way that he presented it. And I love the way that he was able to do it. And even people had a problem with him getting frustrated. I didn't at all. It's like I think it brings forward the human part of him. And that's the whole part is that he's raised by humans and he's finding his humanity. He cares for human beings.
It was a bold move to put that many characters in there, but I said in my non-spoiler that I think that was definitely intentional from the standpoint of when y'all see the movie, there is a moment where everything we've known about Superman gets put on its ear, right?
Right.
And so the point of it, of having that many people, is if you just had Lois and you just had Ma and Pa Ken, and that's his only connection to humanity, what would stop him from, like Snyder's version, if Martha dies or if Lois dies, I'll kill everybody. I don't care anymore. Versus in this case, if he's friends with the dude in Metropolis, and he's friends with everybody on the planet, and he's friends with Lois, and he's friends with this. And then you have the one bad standout in Lex and the few people he can manipulate, but he has this connection to everybody else. It keeps him grounded. And that was, I think, the point of putting that many different characters and people in his life, to keep him grounded and to keep him human, especially knowing that someone major in his life, again, without any spoilers, all of a sudden he has a whole different view of them, and he starts to question it, but he remembers all those people. That is why they did it. It doesn't mean it doesn't make things sloppy. And it's weird, in this one case, it actually would have been a good thing to have this be a 3-hour movie so you could get more character development out of some of these people. But I don't think you can do that for a Quadrant 4 origin movie. You can't do that.
No, not especially if you're trying to make money, because 3-hour movies means less screens. So 2-hour movie means more screens. So there's going to be, I mean, it's the second weekend's the biggest weekend. We'll find out what's going to happen in that second weekend. That's going to tell you. There's some people, even in the chat, that don't even think it's going to get close to 800 million, right? But that's going to be the conversation next week when we go, okay, look, it's slowed down. And then once Fantastic Four comes in, it's clearly going to take a significant chunk away from Superman. But the question is, what does it do week 2? Week 1 is going to be a big number. We'll see how that pans out. But kind of diving back into it, the performances, I don't think there was one weak performance. I do think that there were some times, though, that there were certain characters that were in different movies. I thought Miss Tessmacher was in a different movie. And
the same Tessmacher from Superman 1, my guy.
No, she was not even close. And his
social media version.
No, I know, but I'm saying, but it was like an over the top.
Sure.
Like, she just didn't feel like a real person. She didn't feel like it almost felt like she was like a full fledged comedy. I understand her purpose in the movie, but she felt it, and it wasn't a bad performance. I think it was the way she was directed. I think it was so cartoony. And the other guy that was just so James Gunny that threw me out of the movie was the mustache worker. There's a guy with like a really thick mustache, and like everything he has to say is just a bit, and it's like
mustache worker. I don't remember.
There's a guy at the very end. He's just working with Lex. It's so minuscule. It's nothing. Okay. But those are the only 2 characters. The rest of them, I thought really worked. I mean, like I said, I loved Jimmy Olsen. I thought Skyler was so. He was so great. He just was so great. I like the spin and what they did with his character. I like what he's able to do and how he's able to help out Lois. And I think Brosnahan was a perfect choice for Lois. Excited to see what she's going to do next. More, and like it said, Mr. Terrific. I remember I told you I was worried about Guy Gardner being the one that's like, oh my God, he's just going to be a complete goofball. And you were the one, you and Coy both told me, well, no. The thing with him is he's a douche, but he's a good guy at heart, and he's got the right intent, but he's a douche. And they played perfectly.
They played perfectly.
Yeah, they really did.
It's funny. Just a quick origin on Guy for those that aren't familiar with Guy Gardner. When Hal, who gets selected as the first Lantern, what actually happens is when the alien, I can never pronounce his name. I think it's Upsanur. Someone
Rockface.
Sure. So when he lands on the planet, he tells his power battery, find me someone that can, take the mantle. And the power battery goes, I actually have 2 people that are fearless that will work. One guy is actually this like teacher on this side of the country, and another one is like 100 miles away, and he's a fighter pilot. He goes, okay, we'll go with the close one if they're both equally good to go. So Guy was actually more than capable and like considered perfect to do the job. He just happened to be wrong place, wrong time, and didn't get it. And so that's the thing about Guy that's so interesting. Again, he is a douchebag, but he is good at what he does.
Yes,
and he very much cares about people.
He's got a lot of good moments. I thought Hawkgirl had a lot of good moments. I think Mr. Terrific.
Did you know? That's the only. I would argue that I don't have anything wrong with what Isabella Merced did. I have a problem with the fact that they didn't really give her time to do anything.
Out of the 3 of them, she has the least to do. I don't disagree with you. I think that maybe it's because she's such a good actress and she's got so much like charisma that when she was on the screen, I noticed. But I don't disagree with you. I think maybe they could have done more. I think out of the 3 of them, she's definitely developed the least. But I still liked seeing her.
I like seeing her for sure. Yeah. I just hate that like she didn't get time. Perry didn't get time. I hated that.
Perry had nothing to do.
He had nothing to do, and I absolutely hated that.
Yes, I agree with you. He had nothing to do, and he was kind of like shoehorned in there at one point. Yes, I agree with you. I completely, you know what? I love that actor. It's so great in The Wire. I I completely forgot about him, and I shouldn't. In my spoiler review, and I should have mentioned that too. I look forward to getting into the full spoiler because there's so much I want to talk to you about.
Oh yeah,
obviously, and then hopefully, and another reason why is because we got we'll have Coy back hopefully next week, so we can really dive into it at that point. But nonetheless, I think that it did. I think that it did a lot of right. I think there was a lot of wrong, but I really do think that as a matter of enjoyment, that's what this movie's going to be about. Is that if you're sitting there rolling your eyes from the second it starts, you're going to be in for a rough road. If you can go, if it's one of these ones that you can look at, you can go, yeah, there's a problem there, but I'm just having a fun time with this thing, and I like watching this version of Superman. I think you come out and go, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I had a blast with it. That seems to be, because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people going, no, wait a minute. There's a lot of character development. No. All the humor works. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing, yeah, I agree with that, but I had fun.
And I think that's here was the thing that was interesting, because again, where we started. So the crawl that was there was less a crawl and more of like a quick little boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, right. There was no crawl. There was no crawl.
Right. It was like crawl from a lack of a better way of explaining it.
Right.
But my only issue, and I understand why one of the things I was talking to somebody else about is they were like, well, some comic book issues will do that. And they're like, okay, you picked up issue like 121. Mm-hmm. So here, let me just give you a quick summary of what just happened in case you weren't here for issue 130 or whatever. So doing that, I sort of get what he was going with. I would have maybe moved a couple scenes around just from the way that it went. We'll have to wait till the spoiler talk and I can explain more about that. Only from the standpoint of, yes, we want to try and bring a comic book to life, but you're still doing a movie. And so for me, just the order of that did make the first 20 minutes okay. Right. And I held out hope because there were still good things going on in there. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that I did, because once we got the ball rolling, we're off to the races, and I was fully jacked in. But I definitely was like, okay. And not all movies can recover from a potentially slow act one, but this movie does a very good job of doing that.
I didn't find act one slow. I found it very fast paced, to be honest, but I also found it like, I just didn't feel there was much substance as there could have been.
That's more what I mean by slow. Yeah. I don't mean as in like, and then we were here, and then I meant more the idea of like,
you're a little more shallow.
Yeah, it was very shallow as a start.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's a little more shallow, and it takes a bit for you to go, oh, I'm invested.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you're watching a spectacle. You're like, okay, all right, I'm watching. I'm not feeling it yet. I'm watching. I'm still interested. I'm interested, and then you go, oh, I'm feeling it a little bit. And I think that there are a lot of movies that you want to feel it from the beginning, but I don't know. I walked out, like I said, I did feel like I had a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
I was 8 years old, sitting in front of the television, watching an animated show and going, ooh, Superman flying, he's fighting monsters. He's doing this. Oh, there's Lois. That's I felt like a little kid.
No, I fully agree with you. I guess it's just I'm even talking about the very first thing we see is I was like, I would have started like that,
right?
Like you would have, you maybe like
about that, Winston. That again, the spoiler talk. Something about that beginning scene doesn't make sense to me.
Yes,
it doesn't make sense, and I can't talk about it yet.
I know, and but that's part of where I'm frustrated, because I'm even thinking of if we're going to treat this like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah,
if you were to go watch Superman the animated series, it would be, there's a robot destroying the town, and here he comes, and he like punches the robot, and then something happens to be like, oh, this is different,
right?
Versus without saying much, we started with, oh, this is different. That's the easiest.
There isn't more about that. It's like, even it's like there's
I know.
But because it's just not fair. People are like, why are you talking about spoilers yet? Because like I said, I have my spoiler review up. You can watch that review.
It'll be out later.
I don't want to assume that everybody in here has seen the movie yet. I'll give you a week, and if you actually, I won't even give you a week. I'll give you till Monday, and then
talk about it with Roka.
Yeah, we'll talk with Roka on Monday, and then we'll get back into it next week. But nonetheless, what were your thoughts, guys, on the movie? If you saw it, if you didn't see it, what are you looking forward to? Does it matter? I think one of the reasons this movie is going to do well, by the way, is that there's so many conflicting reviews from both critics and fans
Mm.
that I think that people are going to go, well, I heard this person said it smells. Yeah, that person said it's amazing. Well, what the hell do I do? You go see the movie.
You go see the movie and make your own opinion.
Right. Right. So I think that that's what's going to happen here. And I think that's the reason why it's going to do well, because it's not like it doesn't seem like there's a huge majority going either way. So anyway, put your thoughts in there. Let us know.